Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Welcome into 104.3 The Fans Coffee Break. We've got D-Mac. We've got James Marilat, our crew that always seems to break down bad Broncos losses as they lose to the Jets. 16-9 yesterday, an ugly one. And the question is, can it continue to get worse, James?
Well, I would have told you no, except they continue to one-up themselves, right? Like, we keep thinking we're at rock bottom, and then we keep going further. Like when you go on a hike and you think, okay, that's the summit, and then you get there and you're like, you still got to go up more. And it happens like 4 or 5 times. The Broncos are just doing that, but in reverse order, right? You're like, okay, there's the bottom, we're there. And then they get there and there's just another pit to fall into. So I don't know how deep this abyss goes. It's the Mariana Trench of abysses, but it's pretty ugly. Look, they could get shut out in London. That would be worse.
Wow, we're going geographical figures here because we went with false summits and then we went with trenches. And let me tell you, if you get to a false summit and then you're in a trench, that is we got other problems. We got other problems on Earth besides the football team. By the way, my favorite false summit, Mount Elbert, highest 14er, wicked false summit. You really do think you're there, and you're not. I can't speak of trenches because I've only seen false summits, but I get your, metaphorical belief. By the way, it can get worse. Do not forget, this Broncos organization lost 8 games in a row with Vance Joseph, and you could get humiliated by more points. The one thing going for the Broncos actually in all these losses, they've really been in every single game. Every single game has more or less gone down to the fourth quarter. And rewatching the game this morning, and I actually did that. Rewatched the whole game to see what was going on. It's, crazy that I can agree with Hackett about something. He said there are plays there. And you know what? He is right. There are plays there. And for whatever reason, they don't execute them or they do dumb stuff. Now, listen, I'm not going to let him off the hook either, because his play calling is so utterly predictable that it gets, it makes it look like it's easy for the other team. But I'm telling you, guys, I can show you a half dozen plays that were sitting right there that they didn't take advantage of them. I'm happy to do it, but, we'll keep going here.
No, I think you're right, D-Mac, and it was my column this morning at denverfan.com. I'm not dismissing Nathaniel Hackett of blame or Russell Wilson of blame, but the reality is there aren't a lot of playmakers on this offense. There just aren't. I mean, how many of these guys are Pro Bowl players? None at this point. I mean, Courtland Sutton would be a good number 2. Here, he's supposed to be the star, the number 1. He's just not. How many of the other 10 starters, take the quarterback out of it, would start for every other team in the league? 0. Half the teams in the league. I don't know, a handful. Like, it's just a pretty average roster. So, Nathaniel Hackett comes in, opens up the cupboards. There's flour, sugar. I mean, he's got the staples. And then we're mad that he's not making a gourmet meal. He doesn't have a ton to cook with here. And, Courtland Sutton, go make a play. At some point, somebody has to go make a play. He didn't do it. Jerry Jeudy quits on plays. Latavius Murray and Melvin Gordon look like they're running in quicksand. It's just, there's just not a lot to dazzle anybody with.
It's crazy rewatching the game. You know who the best player for the Broncos was yesterday? I'd say he was 2. I think it was Jerry Jeudy. And yes, I agree. You got touched on the shoulder. Should it have been a flag? It could have been. It could have been a flag. But you need to keep going through with the play. But look at everything else Jerry Jeudy did. It was pretty spectacular yesterday. Mm-hmm. And he came back from, he got destroyed on that one play. And on the broadcast, they pointed out, James, you're going to like this point. They pointed out when you have a corner that close to the line on a screen throw like that, you can't do it. You got to check out of it because it's too easy to read and get blown up. Well, that, my friend, is on Brett Rippon. And that, again, one of those reasons is lack of reps, not doing enough not playing enough in the preseason, not getting enough work in, not recognizing the situation. So, they went over it on TV over and over. We don't get that seeing it live, but you do watching it. And they pointed out how horrible that situation was. And it wasn't really on anybody. It was on really Brett Rippon for not having the football sense to check out of it. It almost got Jerry Jeudy killed.
Yeah, and look, I don't want to be the word police, but I do think this speaks to part of the problem in this town with this offense. Jerry Jeudy was good yesterday. He was good.
Yes.
He wasn't spectacular, right? Spectacular is when you look up and you're watching Justin Jefferson score 3 touchdowns, or Stephon Diggs score 3, or Gabe Davis put up 4 touchdowns in a playoff game in Kansas City. Like, that's spectacular. And it's why I got into this Javonte Williams debate with Zach Bye, because he called him special. It's like, no, he's not. He's a good player. Good. He's not Adrian Peterson in his prime, right? Like, we all need a reality check on this group, because the next excuse we're going to hear, guys, is, boy, Tim Patrick going down in training camp really hurt. Did it hurt? Yes. But if you can't overcome losing a 0-time Pro Bowler, what are we talking about here? I mean, he's a nice player. Would he have helped? Yes. But it's not as though they lost Jerry Rice in his prime and they're trying to figure out how to plug that hole. We grossly overvalue these hometown guys and the guys on this roster. I'm not saying they're a bunch of 2s, but they ain't a bunch of 9s and 10s. They got a bunch of 5s and 6s. That's just the reality.
Yeah, let me tell you about Cortland Sutton, too. And I like Cortland. He's a great guy, and I respect him. But he's going to have to win every 50-50 situation because he creates no separation whatsoever. He just doesn't. So he's going to have to win. And with Sauce Gardner, there was a lot of hand fighting on that 4th and 3 play. I know a lot of people want to flag for him, but watch the play again. They were both going after each other there. I actually think that's a pretty good non-call, considering what the situation is. I think too many NFL games are just flagged late, and that receivers are baiting these corners into, getting all over. The problem with that particular play, talk about a lack of awareness. There's like 40 seconds to go. You need a touchdown to tie the game. It's 4th and 3. You've got time. You're at midfield. You got plenty of time. Watch that play again. And don't forget, they got a reprieve because, there was 2 situations, the 4th and 3 and then the 4th and 10. On the last play, it was actually 4th and 10. Sorry, not 4th and 3. You had Greg Dulcich and Melvin Gordon wide open. Yeah, okay, they were a little short of a first down, but they easily would have got a first down in that situation. The 4th and 3 was where they went to the end zone, where you didn't just try for a first down. Anyway, I mean, we just have a lack of awareness of how to operate a football game. And so, hey, James, Rip, he didn't do it for me. He was okay, but he wasn't any better than any other generic backup you could find in the league. As far as I'm concerned, if you want a backup at this point, give Josh Johnson a shot. Go get one. But then again, we're in the playoffs right now. So go ahead, Russ. Your time to go. Go for it.
I will say yesterday's game was far more entertaining. The first half, I guess I should clarify. The first half was far more entertaining than what we saw in previous weeks. But Broncos country obviously has a ton of questions because it was. I'm sorry. I listen.
They scored 9 points. That was more entertaining than going 11 of 12.
Seeing an actual touchdown was more entertaining. Yes, in the first half.
Find me the first half they didn't score a touchdown. Find me a first half they didn't score a touchdown. He was 11 of 12 in the first half against the Raiders. He was 10 of 10 in the first quarter last week against the Chargers. They had 13
Did you enjoy watching yesterday's game more than the previous weeks?
Huh?
Tell me, did you get bored during yesterday's game before the fourth quarter?
Paint dry. I thought about going out and trimming the bushes.
Why didn't you? You're leaving town, James.
I drained my thing outside for the sprinklers. I went and drained that during the game. That's how boring it was. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump in on that, but
I'm totally okay with it. I thought yesterday's game was more entertaining, and maybe that's because my expectations were a lot lower with Brett Rippon, but I thought it was more entertaining. Yeah, it still was bad football. I'll completely 100% agree with you. I still think they look like a horrible football team, but it was more entertaining. I didn't get popcorn at the game, and that tells you something. But Broncos country has a lot of questions. And if these players are so bad, why are they able to score more points every previous year?
That's a fair criticism, right?
Great question.
That's where it's on Nathaniel Hackett of, They were bad, but if Pat Shurmur could make a better meal with the sugar and the flour than Nathaniel Hackett, then that's on Nathaniel Hackett. That's true. But Zach Biola says two things can be true at the same time, right? You can have mediocre ingredients and it still be the chef's fault for not making the most of it. Both of those things are happening here. But again, all these people, trade this guy, trade that guy. What are they going to get? What's the market for Albert O? What's the market for a tight end who can't get on the field for the worst offense in football? I mean, the phones are ringing off the hook for that. It's laughable how much we've overvalued a lot of these guys.
We had another question that says, the performance on the field makes me wonder what's going on at practice. Another fair question, because there's no chemistry.
I can tell you what's happening, or at least the rumors about what's happening behind the scenes. And it's exactly what you would think. It's stabbing guys in the back. It's tales of dysfunction. It's disagreements with this, that, the other thing. But these things do happen when teams are failing. So to think that they are a well-oiled machine behind the scenes is, it's untrue. It's not. And you saw the latest interesting machination of it when you saw that teams were calling about Chubb, Hamler, and Judy. Guys, if you don't know how this works, I'll let you know, okay? And I'm not trying to be condescending here, although it's probably too late, is when a national reporter gets in, not a local guy, but a national reporter starts saying he's hearing that teams are calling about, that is, in my opinion, a general manager feeding that information to the national reporter about guys they want to trade to drum up interest. That's how it works. Now, is the national reporter lying? No, because the general manager simply tells them, hey, I'm getting calls about X, Y, and Z. So the national reporter goes, he's getting calls about X, Y, and Z. There's no more thorough background. There's no double checking that. They just go with that. And that's how that works. So right now the Denver Broncos want to trade Bradley Chubb, Jerry Jeudy, and KJ Hamler.
And Albert O. Don't forget about him earlier.
Well, but don't forget, he wasn't in that tweet yesterday. I'm just pointing out that tweet from yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Albert O can go for some Chick-fil-A coupons, whatever. I mean, they'll just take anything for Albert O. And likely they would take basically anything for Melvin Gordon. Now, with the injury to Mike Boone, Melvin Gordon may actually survive the rest of the year. Who knows? But the guys they want to move or they think have value, because it's not about can they just get rid of Albert O or Melvin Gordon. They can. What they're trying to do, guys, is trying to get value. And that's why Chubb, Jerry Jeudy, and Hamler were specifically brought up, because that's the guys that they think they can actually get picks. And why do you have to get picks? Because you gave up the farm for Russell Wilson. They lost out on Christian McCaffrey, as it came out today, because they couldn't top San Francisco. They were in on it, but they didn't have a second round pick to trade for Christian McCaffrey, and the 49ers did. So you're in a world of hurt. And right now, this all lands at the feet of not Nathaniel Hackett, but at George Paton.
Well, I missed the Christian McCaffrey news apparently being linked to the Broncos. So you're telling me something here. Who put that out? Because that
was out. That was out there this morning. I forget exactly where I saw it, but it wasn't just the Broncos. There were a couple teams in on it. Okay. And it was, I don't know. Jake Shapiro can look it up someplace.
It was Dov Kleiman said Eagles and Broncos were among the teams that were in the Christian McCaffrey trade before he was dealt to the 49ers, according to Sports Illustrated. They only offered a third or a fourth, not nearly what San Francisco ended up paying. We already knew the Bills and Rams were on it too. So the 5-team race, sounds like the Broncos came in somewhere 4th or 5th. Doesn't really matter. If you're not first, doesn't really matter. But yeah, I mean, the funniest part of the Schefter tweet was the last sentence of it. I don't know if Jake can put it back up again, but the funniest part is the last sentence. Talk about other teams believes the Broncos will not sell low in any deal. In other words, it's George Paton saying, these guys are on the market, but we want a lot for them. Like, okay. I mean, that was such an obvious. plant from the team. It was laughable.
Yeah, some things are it's not hard to read between the lines on that. So the Broncos are telling you they're sellers. So what does that tell everybody? It's not, us debating it. The trade deadline is what, 10 days away, a week from tomorrow? They're sellers. They know. They get it.
Over.
And this actually helps your point, James, about there not being quality depth or quality players on this team. And if there's not, how are you going to get them? Well, you can get them in the draft or you can get them in free agency. Or I suppose you can trade for them if you've got, the draft picks to do it. And the Broncos don't. So you are all committed to Russell Wilson, okay? I got it. As long as Russell Wilson is breathing, he should play. I get it. It wasn't just Hackett's system. That's what this game was all about. Perhaps Russell is just so bad that it's Nathaniel Hackett's system is fantastic. And look at this. Brett Rippon could run it. He beat the Jets before. All right? Now, the conspiracy theories that they benched Russell Wilson for his mental health are just, in my opinion, flat out wrong. He was hurt. Guys, I was there at practice. I wasn't the only one. The reporting wasn't some sort of conspiracy-based outlet. He wasn't moving very well. He could only stay in the pocket. He would have got killed in that game. Rippon only got sacked one time, by the way, and didn't take a lot of hits. James, if you wanted to play him, fine, because he could have. But he was hurt. I'm telling you.
I just have a question.
Yeah.
When did he get hurt? When?
He got hurt twice. He got hurt in the Raiders game, I think, with his shoulder, whenever that was. And
I know games. I'm asking when specifically in the Chargers game did he have this grade 2 strain on his hamstring?
131 left, like 131 or so left.
And then on that final snap, right?
Okay,
so if Montrell Washington doesn't...
And then he got sacked on the play after that, by the way.
If Montrell Washington doesn't muff the punt in overtime, who comes out and quarterbacks that team for their third drive in overtime?
Russell Wilson.
Okay. Well, he was fine then, and he's not fine a week later. Like, that's why conspiracy theories come up.
Correct. There's adrenaline. There's other things going on in a game. You just sort of get through it, and then you get done with it, and you realize, Randy Gregory was walking around after the game, and he's been out for weeks. That's not made up.
But all I'm saying is,
James, it wasn't made up. He was really hurt. Okay.
Okay. And now the grade 2 strain is supposed to be 3 to 4 weeks, and now Wolverine blood.
No, he shouldn't play. James, he shouldn't play in this game either. But sometimes guys played injured. Valerian Chushkin couldn't freaking walk, and he played in the Stanley Cup final. I mean, guys can suck it up with Toradol and other methods and play, James. It's not good for them, but they do it.
Okay, but how about this question? Who in Denver has the biggest weight off their shoulders today? Who?
It's Russell biggest weight off their shoulders today is Russell Wilson.
Yeah, right. So that's why the conspiracy exists. Like, he played the last offensive play in the Charger game. He did, and he was going to play if Montrell Washington hadn't fumbled the ball, and he benefited the most from yesterday's debacle. I'm not saying it's a true conspiracy. I'm just saying it's not a huge tinfoil hat here that you got to put on to put this together.
I'll be right back. Hold on a second. I'll tell you what I think about that. Hold on.
Well, real quick, while DMAC does that, you never know where he's going. We do have breaking news.
I'm doing this in my house because of James.
Breaking news. Baron Browning expected to miss several weeks because of the hip injury he suffered in Sunday's loss to the Jets. Oof.
I'm just putting on my tinfoil hat for you there, James.
There you go.
Because it's about as tinfoil as you get.
Okay.
So Baron Browning, the latest non-contact injury for the Broncos.
Yep, Baron Browning, hip. There are so many injuries for this team. My goodness, that list. To be honest, we could be missing 1 or 2 of them in there too because there's just so many to keep track of. But that really hurts with Baron Browning and Randy Gregory being out. I don't think you can afford to get rid of Bradley Chubb now at this point. I just don't think you can.
Oh, sure you can. Of course you can. No. Rachel.
Everyone's hurt.
Listen, the goal right now is to get the Seahawks the best draft pick possible.
Oh God.
No, you can get rid of Chubb because
but really, what are you gonna get? A 5th?
For Chubb? Oh, I would hope you could get a 3rd and a 4th round pick for Bradley Chubb.
But from who?
Teams that are in the mix, NFC teams that are in the mix that still consider themselves, maybe you can get something back from the Seahawks. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know all the Cowboys. I mean, what are the Giants? How about the New York Giants? They seem to be rolling. You just gotta look at teams that are doing well in the NFC that have needs. Now I'll take the tinfoil off now because I'm speaking for real. I'll put it back on at any second though, if need be. How did Von Miller get traded? How does anybody get traded?
But Von Miller is a lot better of a player than Bradley Chubb is.
Yeah, well, that's why you don't get the same value for Bradley Chubb as Von Miller. But teams that want to win will getting Bradley Chubb as sort of depth insurance sort of guy for a contending NFC team is a huge pickup.
Okay, so here would be, and I'm with you. I agree with you that that's who's going to be in the market for him. It's probably a little less value than Von Miller because it's a rental player, right? Both of them were on the last.
Yeah, what did Von go for? I don't even remember. What did he go
for? A second and a third. So you got Nick Benito, and then they traded the third, got another third this year, and Luke Wattenberg. That's what they got for him. So here's my
good, James.
That's what they got for the greatest defensive player in the history of the organization. Nick Benito, Luke Wattenberg, and a third this year, a TBD third. Okay. To me, you have to look at this. So if you're George Payton and say, and again, I keep using this analogy, but it's like the guy in Apollo 13. All right, tell me what's working. What is working on the spacecraft? The defense is working. Instead of trading Bradley Chubb, they need to sign Bradley Chubb to a contract and try and get him at a lesser value than he'll get on the open market. Keep that group together and then say, George Payton, you got to go solve this offense, or pin it on Zach Azani and say, you haven't developed Jerry Jeudy or KJ Hamler. You're the one that decided we should keep Kendall Hinton and Montrell Washington as guys that are in the receiver room instead of you're the one that can't get Jalen Virgil on the field. Like, that's where you got to go solve it. I don't think you get better by getting rid of players that you will have to go try to replace with the second and third round pick.
You don't believe in Baron Browning?
He's got a hip injury. We'll see how he comes back from it. I like this defense as it is. Guys, if we could get in a time machine, right? If we could Justin out in this thing and go forward to next year training camp. Mm-hmm. If the defense was exactly what it is this year, exact same cast and Ejiro Evero running the ship, would anybody have a problem with that?
You're just going to have some problems because where are you going to get Browning on the field enough? It all depends on how you feel about Baron Browning, James. If you believe in Baron Browning, make the trade for Chubb. If you don't believe in Baron Browning's that guy, then fine. You need three. You need three pass rushers. Randy, you got Jonathan Cooper and you got Nick Benito. You got Jonathan Cooper and Nick Benito. Listen, you're asking me to stick up for George Payton when I want to throw him out the door. So I think George Payton blew it right away when he doesn't understand what a quarterback means to a team. He doesn't. And then he had to take a wild swing at Russell Wilson and give up the farm for it while he was trying to bait Aaron Rodgers with a coach who would give him a lot of hugs and like his ayahuasca dreams. And it was just insane. So you're making me stick up for a guy that I really wouldn't have as part of the organization anymore. I mean, that's what you're making me do. But again, I do question why you do. If you don't stick to your philosophy and don't uphold the things that you've already established, well, what good are you anyway? So if we want to just talk about blowing it all up, getting rid of Payton, starting all over again, fine, I'll entertain that. But if we're not, then what the hell are we doing with the other moves that we've already made?
I get it, but people just fall in love with draft picks, right? I was on the air when the Broncos traded Jay Cutler to the Bears for Kyle Orton and 2 first-round picks. Everybody was so excited. I'm like, well, if that first-round pick turns out to be Jarvis Moss, it ain't a very good trade. Well, it turned out to be Robert Ayers, and I think they traded the other one away so they could get Alfonso Smith, who blasted.
Okay, both were significant players during Super Bowl runs.
Oh, my gosh. Robert Ayers was a disaster.
Robert Ayers played more than a decade and was
Alfonso Smith.
Broncos defense.
Alfonso Smith is one of the biggest busts in franchise history.
Alfonso Smith was an interesting move.
It turned out to be Earl Thomas, so they could draft Alfonso Smith.
All right.
But my point is, people value draft picks. So you're going to get rid of a known commodity in Bradley Chubb. You know what you got. So we can give George Payton extra picks because he's done what with them?
Well,
he didn't blow a top 10 pick.
All right, then fire George Payton, James.
Hey,
hey, you want to move on from George Payton? Move on from George Payton. That's what I'm hearing, and that's fine by me because I told you what my big strategy is, and that's for the Walton Penner Group to buy Omaha Productions for $1 billion because that's what Peyton Manning wants to sign it for. So sell it for. So just, make that happen. And now you're in business with Peyton Manning. That sounds pretty good. Then Peyton Manning gets an ownership stake, and he probably can contribute more than, Sir Lewis Hamilton. Not that I've got anything against Sir Lewis Hamilton, but I'm going to guess Peyton Manning may be a little bit more valuable as the president of football. And I love Sir Lewis Hamilton, and I love F1. Go Louie. But that being said, you make him president of football, and now Peyton Manning runs your organization. So go ahead. And then the chips will fall where they may. And by the way, that may mean you may have to take it on the chin and just dump the Russell Wilson deal and take all that dead cap space for a couple of years. But that would suck.
It's not just the dead cap space. They owe him the guaranteed money.
Okay. Well,
that's $150 million.
I get it. So hey, listen, I'll let Peyton Manning figure it out. But,
does Peyton even want to do that? It looks like Peyton's having fun smoking cigars. And
No, Rachel, you're right. That's why you've got to buy his business for $1 billion. I'm not even joking about the billion. I mean, that's what these types of things go for. Maybe $2 billion. I mean, whatever it costs. Listen, this is the price of doing business here. If you don't do that, guys, we are going to be circling the drain over and over and over again and doing the same type of crap.
Okay. But if you're Peyton Manning and you come in and you get that job, right?
Yeah.
You're going to look at it and say, okay, well, keep the defense intact. That's good. Let's get make sure all those guys are here, like that group. I think the quarterback is the least of their problems on offense. We saw yesterday in the fourth quarter, the difference between Russell Wilson and Brett Rippon and all the other guys we've had. Russell Wilson in every single game with the ball in his hands and a chance to win it has got him down to either scored against San Francisco, got him to the 5-yard line against the Colts, threw the deep ball to KJ Hamler and got him back in that game. It's like he can make plays. Russell Wilson isn't your problem. Then it's go get some skill position guys and solve that offense. That's the issue, and a head coach. But the defense needs to be left alone. Don't trade away some of your best parts.
I'm with you on the defense, but are you forgetting the play where KJ Hamler's wide open and Russell Wilson just completely looks the other way?
No, I'm not. But are we trying to find a quarterback who never makes a mistake? That's the goal.
But what about week after week after week after week? That's worth $250 million. I'm not saying that they're going to go out there and they're going to find somebody who's better than Russell Wilson, although right now it seems like it's pretty easy. But
we're blaming all that on Russell Wilson. None of it's Nathaniel Hackett. This crappy offense.
Listen, let's talk about some reality here for a second, because I can even recognize mine as a pipe dream. Okay, you have Russell Wilson for sure for the rest of this year and next year. No doubts about it. Zero doubts about it. The question is how many years after that. And now hindsight being 2020, it'd have been nice, and I agreed to give him the deal. But okay, it is what it is at this point. You're stuck with it. So you've got to figure out how to make this work with Russell Wilson for basically 4 years.
Which means
that is likely the truth of the situation. Yeah. So, okay, fine. And even Peyton Manning, if he took over, most likely would do the most common sense of all common sense things. If you have a quarterback for the next 4 years, the best thing to do is surround him with guys that will help support him the best way he can be. The best guy to do that, without a doubt, is Sean Payton of the New Orleans Saints. And it sucks because you've got to give up draft picks because you got to trade for Sean Payton with the Saints in order to acquire him. So let me ask you this, James. Knowing all that and knowing that Bradley Chubb has the highest value out there, is it reasonably smart to say if we're going to stock up draft picks, because having Chubb on the team isn't going to matter if the quarterback isn't working, if the offense isn't working, that you get rid of Chubb for draft picks so that you can make a deal with the Saints to get Sean Payton? How about that?
Sure. Okay, because you're not relying on the draft picks of, hey, we're going to go find a rookie wide receiver that's going to come in here and solve things.
Correct. You're trying to get Sean Payton.
That's my issue. Is because the Broncos are stuck with Russell Wilson until at least after the 2025 season. That's it. That's the reality.
Yeah.
So this year and the next week, that's it. And then it's a $31 million dead cap even then, but you've paid the guarantees and you're out of it. Okay, fine. I don't think draft picks giving George Payton draft picks to go try and find rookies that are going to come in here and solve this thing is the solution.
Agreed.
If you're going to use him would I trade Bradley Chubb for Sean Payton? That's essentially
what I'm saying. Yes.
Yes. Fine. I would do that because you have some other defensive.
I mean, hey, how about that? I wonder if you could do that straight up right now.
Probably.
What do the Saints need? Like, how does this work? Because I thought it involved money and like buying out. Granted, that's not really an issue for the Walton Penner group, but like, what exactly do you need to get Sean Payton?
Well, the Saints retain his rights, and so in order to get him, you would have to trade. Other coaches have been traded. John Gruden was traded for a long time ago. It does. I think wasn't Belichick traded? I think Patriots, Jets. There was something going on there. I don't know. It happens. It's very rare, but it happens. So really, maybe what we should be talking about right now, seriously, the real talk as we're kind of, brainstorming our way through this, Bradley Chubb for Sean Payton. And where the Saints are, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure most teams in the NFC could use a quality pass rusher. And the Saints got to ask themselves, well, how are we going to do better? I mean, that's a pretty darn good trade for them. I mean, who's going to offer us more for Sean Payton? As we kind of stumble on that, I kind of love it. And you could do that at the trade deadline over the bye week, and Sean Payton could be here, after the bye week, and let's go.
Yeah, I mean.
Well, it's not a terrible idea because kind of how this is just how my weird brain works. So I'll let you into that scary place. Is I start trying to think of like play out the hypothetical, right? Like, let's say this team had Sean Payton as the head coach, Russell Wilson as the quarterback, and you could magically get Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. Do you think their offense would be better? We all say yes. Of course it would be. Yes. Well, then you start eliminating pieces. And which one, if you eliminate them, makes you worry about it most? All right, if you lost Tyreek Hill, would they still be pretty good with Sean Payton and Travis Kelce? Yeah. If they just had Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill but still had Nathaniel Hackett, would they be any good? I don't know. So that tells me the head coach is in the offensive play caller is the biggest part of the equation. Mm-hmm. That is the biggest void. Because honestly, you could give Nathaniel Hackett, filet mignon, crab legs, lobster tails, and the freshest vegetables out of the garden, and he'd still make a crappy meal. That's the reality of the situation. So it's coach first.
Well, I think we're all on the same page. And if you want to wait for a few more games, you're only doing yourself in. You've got this game in England. You've got the bye week. Greg Penner just needs to do it. And frankly, almost any situation is better because the only way it works with Nathaniel Hackett is something they'll never do. He would have to go up into the box and allow Jerry Rosberg or somebody else to just be the decision maker down there on the field. It's comical watching Hackett on the sideline. He is so buried in his play sheet trying to figure out what the answer is. He has no awareness whatsoever of what's happening. And guess what, guys? He has the worst view on the field to try to figure out which play to call. He's got the worst view of it. It's an insane situation. Dayball gave up the play calling, and look how things are going with the Giants. Robert Saleh gave up the play calling. Look how things are going with the Jets. Other guys can figure it out. Okay, fine. But this is nutso what's going on. You can put Hackett up in the box and see how things go, but teams just don't do that. By the way, that's exactly what they should have done with Fangio as the defensive coordinator as well. But teams don't want to give up on this. And I have no clue if anybody's better than Hackett at calling the plays. I just know he's not in the right spot to do it. So because they won't do this, that means they have to replace him. Sorry. If you wanted to try something radical and different, go for it. How about that for something new? But if you're not, hasta la vista.
Well, real quick, we do have some more. James, I'll let you get to this. We do have more injury news. Mike Boone has a high ankle sprain that will sideline him for a few weeks going into MRI this morning per source. Mike Kliss tweeting that out. So again, more injury news to add to the Broncos. Go ahead, James.
Well, it's gotten so bad that we don't even criticize Hackett for his bad in-game decisions anymore. Right? Like, D-Mac, you and I had our back and forth yesterday on Twitter about whether or not it was windy, and that affected McManus's kick, right?
Oh, wait. Are we debating whether it was windy?
No. Let's just say it was. Let's just say it was.
So you can see that it was windy.
Fine. I'm acknowledging that fact. If it's windy, why are they trying a 56-yard field goal?
Because the wind was actually at his back. On that particular kick, it was.
Okay.
That's not.
4th and 1 at midfield. Then they have 4th and 1 at midfield, and they punt it. Like, we've just gotten to the point now where we don't even bother criticizing him for those kind of things. It's like,
see, you're asking me two different questions. Would I have gone for it on 4th and 1? Yeah, of course I would have. If listen, I'm Mr. 4th down. I would go for it on 4th and most anything between the 40s. And I've got all my silly analytical data about how that doesn't really hurt you and how the defense plays. Almost in every scenario you can imagine, 4th and whatever, 4th and 10 at your own 40, I would likely go for it. That's who I am. 4th and 1 at the 48, that for me is a slam dunk, go for it situation. Always is, and I would have gone for it in that situation. Robert Saleh didn't, by the way, if you noticed that, and he just was concerned with the field goals, and they hit the field goals from that same direction, by the way. But, James, you're going to love this. The wind had shifted at that point. And
of course it had.
And that is true, too. It had, and I took pictures to prove it, by the way. The wind had completely shifted and was blowing in the opposite direction at that point. What can I tell you, James? I would go for it on 4th down, too. But the wind – listen, man,
it was real.
What's that field goal again? McManus started it outside the left goalpost, and it swung outside the right goalpost.
Fine, but here were the flags on top of the goalpost.
I got James, I love you, and that's why I took pictures to frame the goalpost and the flags above the goalpost on purpose to show there was something else going on. James, I don't know what to say to this.
Anyhow, there were decisions made in the game that we've just given up on being critical of Nathaniel Hackett about, because it's like so far down the list of problems with this.
I know, everybody. I know.
Well,
so many
well, you're
things.
not James. See, this is you get me hung up on things that don't matter, and then we get to things that do matter. So yes, you're right. Okay, you're right about that. Yeah,
you shouldn't have gone for
you drive me nuts on certain things, but you're right about most things.
All because of the wind. Okay, we do have to get
James claims like it wasn't windy.
James was also saying that the stands weren't full because of the picture he saw, and I can tell you that the stands were pretty dang full at the beginning. That's at the 4th quarter with 1 minute left. I would have left too. It got chilly. Can we find a picture of in the 2nd quarter? It was pretty dang packed.
All right, but Rachel, to be fair, to be fair, that was a 1-score game. The Broncos had 3 timeouts and then got the ball back at that moment, 131.
But there's no hope.
I listen. I was stunned how many people had left. Okay, it really happened around the 4.5-minute mark. Not even right there. I mean, people had really filtered out. No, the fans leaving is kind of its own topic. They left for 3 different reasons, but the most important reason, one was it was uncomfortable to be there. Okay, start there. The second reason was, well, really the only reason was they didn't have any hope. That's why they left. You know, the game was a 2:05. The game was a 2:05 kick. It might have been the least amount of traffic I've ever seen going into a game in years and years and years. We flew right into the stadium. There were not a lot of Jets fans. That is true too. A lot of times sellouts happen because there's a large away crowd that sort of fills in those gaps. The Jets did not travel very well whatsoever. But the biggest reason why, guys, the fans just had given up hope. They had given up hope, but the Broncos did have a pass to the end zone with like 20 seconds to go that would have tied the game. I mean, by all parameters of an exciting game, if you were within 1 score and you've got the ball at the end of the game, that technically is an exciting game. It is. And fans don't care.
They've been in that same position, and it didn't end up working out. I say go downtown, get a drink, enjoy your Sunday night. Don't waste your time there. That's my opinion.
Listen, I'm not trying to be critical of fans, but I am amazed that you would make such a investment in your time and money and just not watch the end of it.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're at Top Gun, and you don't wait to see if they're able to pull off the mission at the end. Like,
what else are you doing? I mean, why did you go?
James, why weren't you watching the game? You went to blow out your sprinklers because it was bad football and you have no hope for this team. How do you do this for your job and you were still like, I'm going to go blow out my sprinklers real quick?
I was watching the final 2 minutes, but it was because there was no hope. Nobody in the building thought Brett Rippon was going to lead him down for the game-tying touchdown. No.
But yet they did have a pass into the end zone, and they had a shot. They did.
They did.
We also watched Brett Rippon throw directly to a Jets player who he must have thought was a Broncos player, and luckily just didn't get intercepted in that moment.
Well, he did have a terrible interception too. But.
Here's why people left. Because it's not because it was uncomfortable. Again, I'm not arguing that it was windy, right? I'm not.
Our camera blew over for postgame.
I'm not arguing that it was windy. I'm not. Right? But they didn't leave the Baltimore playoff game in double overtime. They didn't leave the blizzard against the Packers in 1984. They left as a form of protest. That is your only way to send a message to Greg Penner as he, sips on whatever he's sipping on in his suite to say, this is garbage, and we would rather go downtown and have a cocktail than watch this nonsense. That's why they left. It was a form of protest and good for Broncos fans. I'm here for you, and I got your back.
By the way,
I did see Greg Penner in the hallway, and I will say he did not look very happy, which was kind of nice to see. He was also.
Let me tell you, nobody who sits in those seats is going downtown to get a cocktail. I mean, they may be going.
I have friends that do.
That's not what you do down there. That's a bigger problem. It's a pain in the ass to go get a cocktail after a Broncos game because there's no place to easily go there. You get back in your car and you go home. That is
No. You hop on a scooter and you take it to the parking lot that you parked over downtown.
Yes, this is another crazy issue we have here.
Wait. Actually, we're going off topic.
We don't have a place to go get a cocktail.
We're going off topic here real quick. We do have one other thing we need to get to, but we need somebody to video D-Mac riding a scooter over to Empower Field after his show one day because I need video of this.
That would be fantastic.
I love it.
And look, if you're sitting in the stands, there's 4 minutes left. They cut off beer sales 11 minutes ago. You want to keep watching that nonsense?
By the way, James, I'm gonna take a flashlight, stick it in your face because we're facing the sun if we're sitting on the east side there. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to stick a flashlight in your face and turn on a fan for 3 straight hours and see how you like it. And we'll just see how you're doing it at 2 hours and 45 minutes.
It's the first ever time the Broncos have played at 2:00 in October, and those people have had to sit in the stand in the sun. I mean, it's been this way for 60 years. Like
all right.
I've heard all this nonsense of, they left the Thursday night game because it's a school night. They've been having school for a long time, too. I mean,
listen.
We can argue this. We can argue this for another hour.
Really quick.
30 seconds. Go.
We agree. We're arguing and we're agreeing at the same time.
Correct.
The reason they left was because they lacked hope, but it was still uncomfortable. All right, James going to London. Let's hope it's not sunny or windy there.
James.
Yes.
We're putting you to the test because you get to go out to London. He's leaving tomorrow. So we created a bunch of things that we are expecting you to do and get content for, and we're going to check this off when you come back. I've got the report card for you. Don't worry. I'll send this to you.
Okay, perfect.
I feel like you were looking for a pen or something. You have to get afternoon tea.
Done. In.
Absolutely
Easy.
Have to do it. You have to eat. Well, and I changed it too. You have to rate the afternoon tea, but you also have to eat fish and chips.
Done. No problem.
Easy.
Wrapped up in newspaper.
You need to go to get a picture in St. James Park.
I don't know what that is, but okay, I can do that.
Okay, perfect. You need to get a picture with the guard at Buckingham Palace.
Love it. I can do that.
Perfect. You need to order a London Pride.
Boy, it's really twisting my arm, but I'll take one for the team.
Perfect. I can't wait. Okay. You need to find a dandelion and burdock drink, and you get extra credit if you can drink it. It is non-alcoholic. But you need to do this. This comes out of Harry Potter. I'm not a big Harry Potter person, but it's somehow that. So you need to do that.
It's not like, absinthe or anything. It's not going to give me hallucinogenic type of reaction, is it?
No, I think it's more like a soda.
All right. I'm in it. I'm down.
Perfect. A video of you eating blood and chocolate pate. I want to say that's how you say it.
Pate? I think
Pate,
sure,
yeah.
here. I got it. I'm gonna do that.
When does this become difficult?
Well, we gotta find some stuff for him to do, you know. But have you heard of this blood and chocolate thing?
No.
Do you want me to tell you about it, or do you just want to eat it first?
What kind of blood is it?
Do you want me to tell you about it or not?
Yeah. I want to know.
It's a liter of pig's blood.
Oh.
So you gotta do that. You eat it with like this little bread, so could be fun.
I can eat anything. I'll do it. No problem.
Perfect. Okay. Obviously you need to get a selfie at Wembley because we're all very jealous that you will be at the game. Super easy. And then you have to give us some sort of surprise with some sort of selfie while you're out there. So not terribly hard, but I know you're going to be busy running around. So I wanted you to just have to do some other things.
I'm hoping my surprise is Beatles related. That's going to be my hint.
Okay. I love it. Well, let's hope we give you A's on all of these. So the pictures need to look good. And you got to have selfies. You got to tag us all on Twitter, too, when you post them. Deal?
Deal. And I'm hoping to join you guys on coffee break from, some of the landmarks.
Maybe you can have afternoon tea with us.
That would be great. I'm looking forward to it. It should be a ton of fun. I have to cap it off with the game, but the rest of the week should be a good time.
It's true. I almost put something about if the Broncos lost, you had to do something crazy, but I figured I would be nice. I wasn't sure when your flight was leaving, so.
It leaves the following day, which is my birthday. Just a little early plug on that.
I want you to ask Meghan Markle out on a date. That's what I want.
If you can just find her, let me know.
Okay, all right.
I should have told you had to find the former queen. I can't. Whatever you say after they pass, her corgis. I should have had you go on a hunt for them.
Queen Elizabeth's corgis.
Yes.
Wow.
What do you call it after they pass?
I thought you were gonna get much darker right there.
I know, but what do you call it after they pass? Where you're go
dead?
Well, I was trying to be nice. Okay, I wasn't gonna go say find the dead queen's corgis.
Yeah, James, go find the dead queen, will you?
Posthumous was what I was thinking, but I think DMAC hit the nail on the head.
Oh my gosh. All right, everyone. That's going to do it for Coffee Break. Thanks for everybody for hanging out with us in the comments. DMAC, James, have fun in London. DMAC and I will be back tomorrow morning, 10:30 a.m. to continue this talk, everybody. We'll see you then. Bye.